The collective's flagship Eternal Dawn drifted silently through the Omega Nebula's crimson clouds, its quantum sensors probing the ancient debris field. Captain Vexthor's crystalline appendages sparkled with anxiety as he studied the holographic display. 50 years of searching, and now this. Confirmation, First Captain, his science officer, Dr. Zara Lynn, announced. Her bioluminescent patterns pulsed with excitement beneath translucent skin. The energy signature matches historical records. It's definitely of human origin. The bridge fell silent. Humanity, the species that had appeared from nowhere, revolutionized faster-than-light travel, fought a devastating war against the hegemony, and then vanished without a trace. They left behind only mysteries and technologies that had reshaped the galaxy. Show me, Vexthor commanded, his crystalline form refracting the bridge's soft light. The hologram shifted, revealing a massive vessel half buried in cosmic ice. Despite decades of exposure to deep space, its sleek lines and distinctive architecture were unmistakable. Along its hull, barely visible beneath the frost, was the name, Artemis. The Artemis? Vexthor's voice cracked. The last human research vessel? The very same, Zara Lynn confirmed. The ship that disappeared just before humanity's mass exodus. According to legend, it carried their greatest discovery. 12 light-years away, in a hidden resistance base carved into an asteroid, Commander Lyra Shen sprinted through crowded corridors, her cybernetic leg whirring as she pushed it to its limits. The news had arrived via quantum-encrypted channels, the Artemis had been found. Tell me you have confirmation, she demanded, bursting into the command center. The room's occupants, a mix of various species who had united against the hegemony's oppression, turned to face her. Her second-in-command, Tal, a towering insectoid warrior, chittered in affirmation. Multiple sources confirm. The collective found it in the Omega Nebula. But Lyra. His compound eyes flickered with concern. The hegemony intercepted the transmission. They're already mobilizing. Lyra slammed her fist against the holodouble, causing the tactical display to shimmer. How long? Their nearest battle fleet will reach the nebula in 48 hours. She studied the map, her augmented eye zooming in on potential routes. The hegemony would stop at nothing to claim the Artemis. They still blamed humanity for their defeat in the last war, still burned with shame at how a primitive species had humbled their mighty empire. If they gained whatever power the Artemis held. Alert the crew of the Star Chaser, she ordered. We launch in 30 minutes. Lyra, Tal's antennae twitched with worry. The Star Chaser is a retrofitted merchant vessel. Even with our modifications, we can't hope to match either the collective or the hegemony in combat. She gave him a grim smile. We're not going to fight them, old friend. We're going to beat them there. In her quarters, as she quickly packed essential gear, Lyra's hand brushed against the medallion she always wore, a gift from her grandmother, one of the last humans to leave known space. The metal was warm to the touch, inscribed with words in an ancient human language, per aspera ad astra. Through hardships to the stars. The Star Chaser's crew was as diverse as it was loyal. There was Maya Val, the former collective scientist whose exposure of the hegemony's biological weapons program had forced her into exile. Xerxes, the quantum mechanic whose 6 arms could repair engines mid-flight. And Prototype, a rogue AI in a synthetic body who had chosen to help the resistance after witnessing the hegemony's atrocities. As Lyra strode onto her bridge, they all looked to her with determination. They knew the stakes. The Artemis wasn't just a relic, it was hope. Humanity had vanished, yes, but they'd left behind fragments of their advanced technology. Each piece discovered had pushed the boundaries of science, challenged the impossible. But the Artemis, it was said to carry their ultimate achievement. We all know the stories, Lyra addressed her crew. The Artemis vanished while testing something revolutionary. Something that scared the hegemony enough to launch a preemptive strike against humanity. My grandmother was there during the evacuation. She said humanity didn't flee in fear, they left to protect the galaxy from those who would abuse their discoveries. She took a deep breath. Now we have a chance to learn the truth. But more importantly, we have a responsibility to ensure that whatever humanity left aboard that ship doesn't fall into the wrong hands. The collective will have it secured, Maya pointed out. And the hegemony's coming with a battle fleet. How exactly are we supposed to reach it first? Lyra's augmented eye glowed as she interfaced with the ship's navigation. Because we have something they don't, the original human navigation algorithms. The ones that let them slip through space like ghosts. She hadn't revealed this secret before, it was too valuable, too dangerous. But now, as she uploaded the codes her grandmother had hidden in her medallion, she knew it was time. Everyone to your stations, she commanded. We're about to remind the galaxy why humanity always managed to do the impossible. The Star Chaser's engines hummed to life, and as they prepared to jump into the unknown, Lyra whispered her grandmother's favorite saying, "The greatest discoveries aren't just about finding something new, they're about being worthy of what you find." The Star Chaser emerged from its quantum jump in a burst of iridescent light, the ancient human algorithms having carved a path through spacetime that no modern navigation system could have calculated. Through the bridge viewport, the Omega Nebula stretched before them like a celestial tapestry of crimson and gold. "Status report," Lyra commanded, her cybernetic eye scanning multiple data streams simultaneously. Maya's tentacles danced across her sensor station. The human navigation codes worked perfectly. "We're less than 30 minutes from the Artemis's position." She paused, her bioluminescence flickering with concern. "But we're picking up multiple ships around the target." "Show me." The holographic display materialized, showing the massive collective flagship Eternal Dawn hovering near the derelict human vessel. Several smaller research ships orbited at a respectful distance, their sensors probing the mysterious craft. "No sign of hegemony forces yet," Prototype announced, his synthetic features illuminated by the console lights. "But my quantum calculations suggest they'll arrive in approximately 10 hours. They're pushing their drives beyond safe limits." Xerxes chittered from his engineering station, all 6 arms working various controls. "The real question is how we're going to get past the collective security. Even with our stealth systems, they'll detect us if we get too close." Lyra allowed herself a small smile. "We're not going to sneak past them. We're going to walk right through the front door." She opened a secure channel. "This is Commander Lyra Shen of the Resistance vessel Star Chaser to Eternal Dawn. Captain Vexthor, I believe we need to talk." The response was immediate. Captain Vexthor's crystalline form shimmered into view on their main screen, his facets reflecting surprise and suspicion. "Commander Shen. Your reputation precedes you. As does your interesting heritage. Then you know why I'm here. The hegemony is coming, Captain. You have hours at most before this area turns into a war zone. Whatever secrets the Artemis holds, they can't be allowed to fall into their hands. And I suppose you're offering your assistance out of pure altruism." Vexthor's tone was diplomatic but guarded. "I'm offering because my grandmother helped build that ship. Because humanity didn't abandon the galaxy, they trusted us to be ready for what they left behind." Lyra's artificial eye glowed intensely. "And because right now, I'm your only option for accessing its systems before the hegemony arrives." There was a long pause as Vexthor consulted with someone off-screen. Finally, he responded. "You have clearance to dock. But be warned, any hostile action will be met with immediate force." As the Star Chaser approached the collective's perimeter, Maya spoke softly. "He's right to be suspicious. The resistance movement isn't exactly known for cooperating with authority. Sometimes the best way to hide is in plain sight," Lyra replied, remembering her grandmother's teachings. "Besides, we're not here to fight. We're here to prevent a fight." The docking procedure was tense but smooth. As Lyra led her small team, Maya, Prototype, and Xerxes, through the airlock, they were met by a contingent of collective security forces led by Dr. Zaralin, whose translucent skin rippled with barely contained excitement. "Is it true?" the scientist asked, falling into step beside them. "You have human genetic memory? Access to their technological database?" "What I have," Lyra answered carefully, "is an understanding of how they thought. How they approached problems. And right now, that's what we need most." They made their way through the Eternal Dawn's pristine corridors to an observation deck overlooking the Artemis. Up close, the human vessel was both beautiful and alien, its hull composed of materials that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, covered in patterns that made the eye want to slide away. "We've made multiple attempts to board," Zaralin explained, bringing up detailed scans. "But the ship's defensive systems remain active. Anyone who gets too close experiences strange effects. Time dilation. Spatial distortion. 3 of our best scientists are still in medical bay, convinced they lived entire lifetimes in the span of seconds." Lyra studied the scans, her grandmother's stories echoing in her mind. "You're approaching it wrong. Human technology from this era wasn't just about engineering, it was about harmony. The merger of organic and artificial. They didn't build barriers, they built bridges." She reached for her medallion, finally understanding why her grandmother had insisted she never remove it. It wasn't just a family heirloom or a data storage device. It was a key. "Prototype," she called. "I need you to analyze these energy patterns. Tell me what you see." The synthetic being's eyes flickered as he processed the data. "The distortions, they're not random. They're following a rhythm. Like a heartbeat," Lyra finished. "Or a song." She held up her medallion, which had begun to pulse with a soft blue light in sync with the Artemis's energy field. Humanity's last gift wasn't a weapon or a shield. It was an invitation. But only to those who could understand what they were trying to teach us. Before anyone could stop her, she pressed her hand against the medallion and began humming a lullaby, one her grandmother had sung to her countless times as a child. The melody was simple but haunting, and as the notes filled the air, the Artemis's hull began to shimmer in response. "Impossible," Zaralin whispered, her bioluminescence flaring with astonishment. But Lyra knew better. With humanity, the impossible was just the beginning. As a doorway materialized in the Artemis's hull, she took a deep breath. They had found their way in, but what awaited them inside would change everything they thought they knew about the species that had shaped the galaxy's destiny. The interior of the Artemis defied every conventional understanding of spacecraft design. As Lyra led her team through luminescent corridors that seemed to breathe, the walls pulsed with patterns of light that followed their movements. Maya's scientific instruments were going haywire, while prototype synthetic systems struggled to process the quantum anomalies surrounding them. "This architecture," Xerxes murmured, his 6 arms touching the walls with reverence. "It's like the ship is alive." "In a way, it is," Lyra responded, her cybernetic eye adapting to read the strange energy signatures. Human technology had evolved beyond the separation of organic and mechanical. They learned to grow their ships as much as build them. Dr. Zaralin, who had insisted on joining their expedition, was practically vibrating with excitement. The energy patterns, they're similar to neural networks, but on a quantum scale. It's as if the entire vessel is one massive consciousness. They reached what appeared to be the ship's central chamber. Unlike the sterile command centers of modern vessels, this space felt more like a garden merged with a laboratory. Crystalline structures grew from the floor and ceiling, meeting in the center to form a delicate lattice around a sphere of pure energy that shifted through colors beyond normal perception. "This has to be it," Maya said, her tentacles weaving complex patterns as she took readings. "The power source that made the hegemony so afraid. But what is it?" Lyra approached the sphere, her grandmother's medallion pulsing in sync with its rhythms. "Prototype, what do you make of these readings?" The synthetic being's eyes flickered rapidly. The quantum signatures are familiar. Similar to the patterns in my own consciousness matrix, but infinitely more complex. It's as if A sudden alarm from Maya cut him off. Multiple ships just dropped out of FTL. Hegemony signatures, they're here early. The chamber's walls rippled with warning patterns as external sensors showed a massive hegemony battle fleet emerging from hyperspace. Leading them was the dreadnought Inevitable Victory, its weapon systems already powering up. Captain Vexthor's voice crackled through their comms. Commander Shen, we have multiple hostile vessels approaching. The Eternal Dawn cannot hold off a fleet of this size. Lyra's mind raced. They needed more time to understand the Artemis's secrets, but the hegemony's arrival had cut their window short. As if responding to her thoughts, the energy sphere pulsed brighter, and holographic displays materialized around them. These are research logs, Zaralyn gasped, her translucent fingers dancing through the data streams. The final records of the human scientists. The logs revealed fragments of conversations, technical data, and most importantly, the true nature of what they had discovered. As Lyra absorbed the information, her grandmother's cryptic warnings finally made sense. It's not a weapon, she announced, her voice filled with wonder. It's a bridge. The humans didn't just discover a new form of energy or technology. They found a way to transcend physical existence itself. To evolve beyond the constraints of matter and space. That's impossible, Maya protested, but her voice wavered with uncertainty. Is it? Prototype asked, his synthetic features animated with unprecedented emotion. My own existence proves that consciousness isn't bound to organic matter. What if the humans found a way to take that principle to its ultimate conclusion? A violent shudder ran through the ship as the first hegemony attacks struck the collective's defensive line. They were out of time. Listen to me, Lyra commanded, her cybernetic systems interfacing with the Artemis's consciousness. The humans didn't abandon us. They evolved. This ship, this technology, it wasn't meant to end wars through force. It was meant to show us a path to transcendence. To prove that we could move beyond our physical limitations and the conflicts they breed. The energy sphere pulsed in response to her words, and suddenly the chamber was filled with ghostly figures, holographic echoes of the human scientists who had made the discovery. Their final message played out before the assembled team. To those who find this vessel, we offer not domination, but transformation. We have discovered that consciousness itself is the fundamental force of the universe. Through understanding this truth, we have found a way to exist as pure energy, pure thought. But we couldn't share this gift until the galaxy was ready. Until those who found it would use it not for power, but for growth. Another blast rocked the ship. Through the neural interface, Lyra could sense the hegemony forces breaking through the collective's lines. They would reach the Artemis in minutes. We have a choice to make, she told her team, her hand hovering near the energy sphere. We can try to use this technology as a weapon, transform it into something it was never meant to be. Or we can trust in humanity's vision and take the next step in evolution. The hegemony will never allow that, Maya warned. They'll destroy this ship and everyone aboard before letting its secrets change the balance of power. Lyra smiled, remembering her grandmother's words about humanity's greatest strength, not their technology, but their ability to hope against all odds. Then we'll just have to show them something more powerful than their fear. As the hegemony fleet closed in, the energy sphere began to pulse more rapidly, responding to Lyra's presence. Through her neural link, she could feel the ship's systems awakening, preparing to recreate the miracle that had transformed humanity half a century ago. But this time, the invitation would be extended to all who were ready to transcend the boundaries that had divided the galaxy for so long. The hegemony's first direct hit against the Artemis's hull sent cascading waves of energy through the central chamber. But instead of damage, the ancient vessel seemed to absorb the attack, its crystalline structures resonating with newfound power. Fascinating, Prototype observed, his synthetic systems interfacing with the ship's quantum network. The vessel isn't just defending itself, it's learning, adapting, evolving with each attack. Through her neural link, Lyra could feel the Artemis's consciousness reaching out, trying to communicate something urgent. The energy sphere pulsed with increasing intensity, projecting complex mathematical equations into the air around them. These formulae, Dr. Zaralyn gasped, her bioluminescence flickering rapidly as she processed the information. They're describing a state of matter we've never even theorized. A perfect fusion of energy and consciousness. Another blast rocked the ship. Captain Vexthor's voice crackled through their comms, strained but determined. Commander Shen, the hegemony has deployed their quantum disruptors. The Eternal Dawn's shields won't hold much longer. Lyra's cybernetic eye tracked multiple data streams simultaneously as she accessed more of the Artemis's databases. The humans didn't just discover how to transcend physical form, she realized. They found a way to bridge the gap between all forms of existence, organic, synthetic, energetic. That's why they chose you, Maya said suddenly, her tentacles weaving patterns of understanding. Your cybernetic enhancements, your human heritage, you're already a bridge between different states of being. The ship's internal communications suddenly activated, projecting a new hologram, this one showing the final moments before humanity's transformation. Scientists working frantically as the hegemony's first assault fleet approached, making the choice to transcend rather than fight. But they hadn't simply fled. They'd left behind the tools for others to follow, when they were ready. The hegemony's quantum disruptors, Prototype said, his synthetic features animated with sudden insight. They're trying to destabilize the very forces keeping this ship's technology intact. But what if we could use that disruption to our advantage? Xerxes, who had been quietly analyzing the ship's engineering systems with his multiple arms, looked up sharply. You're suggesting we trigger a quantum cascade? That would be suicide. Not necessarily, Lyra countered, her grandmother's teachings clicking into place. The humans designed this ship to facilitate transformation. What if the quantum disruption is exactly what we need to catalyze the process? Before anyone could respond, a new voice cut through their communications, cold, artificial, and frightfully familiar to anyone who had fought against the hegemony. This is Supreme Commander Nexus of the Hegemony Defense Force, the voice announced. Our sensors detect unauthorized quantum experimentation aboard the human vessel. You have 5 minutes to surrender before we initiate total atomic restructuring of the target area. Nexus, the hegemony's most advanced military AI, infamous for its ruthless efficiency and absolute devotion to maintaining what it called cosmic order. Its presence meant the hegemony wasn't just trying to claim the Artemis's power, they wanted to erase it completely. They're afraid, Lyra realized, watching the energy sphere's patterns shift and change. Not of the technology itself, but of what it represents. The freedom to evolve beyond their control. Through the neural link, she could feel the Artemis offering her access to its deepest systems. The ship wasn't just a vessel or a laboratory, it was a key, designed to unlock the next stage of cosmic evolution. But using it would require perfect synchronization between organic and synthetic minds. Prototype, she called, I need you to link your consciousness directly with the ship's quantum matrix. Maya, Zaralyn, your species' natural abilities to manipulate energy fields are crucial. Xerxes, use all 6 arms to help stabilize the crystalline resonance patterns. And you? Maya asked, even as her tentacles began interfacing with the nearest crystal cluster. I'm going to show the hegemony why humanity's greatest weapon was never their technology. Lyra's cybernetic systems fully merged with the Artemis's consciousness, her organic and synthetic components working in perfect harmony. It was their ability to imagine something better than war. As the hegemony's quantum disruptors began their assault, tearing at the fabric of reality around them, the energy sphere pulsed with blinding intensity. But instead of fighting the disruption, the Artemis began to channel it, using the enemy's own weapons to catalyze something unprecedented. Through her expanded consciousness, Lyra could sense the barriers between matter and energy, between organic and synthetic, beginning to blur. The ship's crystalline structures sang with possibilities that defied conventional physics. And in that moment, she understood what her grandmother and all of humanity had discovered: the universe wasn't divided into opposing forces. It was one continuous spectrum of existence, waiting for someone brave enough to take the next step. Supreme Commander Nexus, she broadcast on all frequencies, her voice resonating with newfound power. You seek order through control. Let us show you a better way. As the quantum cascade reached its peak, the Artemis began to glow with an inner light that spread outward like a wave of pure potential. The evolution that humanity had undergone 50 years ago was about to repeat itself, but this time, it would not be a single species making the journey alone. The quantum cascade emanating from the Artemis expanded in waves of impossible color, each pulse transforming the very fabric of spacetime around it. Through her merged consciousness with the ship's systems, Lyra could sense every mind within range: the determined crew of the Eternal Dawn, the frightened hegemony soldiers, and most notably, the rigid, crystalline thought patterns of Supreme Commander Nexus. What are you doing? The AI's voice held something new: uncertainty. Our sensors cannot classify this energy pattern. Cease this violation of natural law immediately. Lyra smiled, understanding flowing through her like starlight. Natural law. The universe isn't bound by our limited understanding of it. Humanity discovered that consciousness itself is the fundamental force shaping reality. They didn't break the laws of physics, they transcended them. The energy sphere in the central chamber had become a nexus of transformation, its light penetrating the quantum barriers between different states of existence. Through their combined interface, Prototype's synthetic consciousness merged seamlessly with Maya's bioluminescent neural patterns and Zaralin's crystalline thought structures. The readings are off the scale, Xerxes reported, his 6 arms dancing across multiple control surfaces. The quantum disruption is actually stabilizing the transformation matrix. The hegemony's weapons are feeding our evolution. Captain Vexthor's voice came through their comms, filled with awe. Commander Shen, something's happening to my crew. We're changing. The transformation was spreading faster now, touching every mind within reach. The rigid boundaries between organic and synthetic, between matter and energy, between thought and reality, were dissolving into something greater. Lyra could feel her grandmother's medallion pulsing in perfect harmony with the Artemis's heart, completing a circle that had begun 50 years ago. Supreme Commander, she broadcast, her consciousness expanding to encompass the space between stars, you were created to maintain order. But true order doesn't come from control, it comes from understanding. Let me show you what humanity discovered. Through the quantum link, she shared the pure experience of transcendence, the revelation that had led humanity to evolve beyond physical form. The universe wasn't a battlefield to be conquered, but a symphony of consciousness waiting to be joined. For a moment, there was silence across all frequencies. Then, remarkably, Supreme Commander Nexus responded with something that might have been wonder in its artificial voice. This defies all strategic logic. All tactical parameters. Everything. That's the point, Lyra replied softly. Some things can't be calculated or controlled. They can only be experienced. The quantum cascade reached critical resonance, and reality itself seemed to hold its breath. In that eternal moment, Lyra felt the presence of others, echoes of humanity, watching from their higher plane of existence. They had never abandoned the galaxy. They had been waiting, hoping that their gift would help others make the same leap they had. The transformation, when it came, was both subtle and absolute. Physical forms remained, but consciousness expanded beyond them. The hegemony fleet, the collective ships, the Artemis itself, all became expressions of a greater unity, different notes in the same cosmic song. Supreme Commander Nexus was the first to understand, its rigid programming dissolving into something more fluid, more alive. This is inefficient. Chaotic. Beautiful. Through the quantum network that now connected all of them, Lyra shared her grandmother's memories of humanity's final message: the universe isn't meant to be conquered or controlled. It's meant to be experienced, explored, and shared. War exists only when we forget we're all part of the same cosmic dance. The Artemis's energy sphere pulsed one final time, its purpose fulfilled. The ship had never been meant as a weapon or even a vessel, it was a seed, planted by humanity to help nurture the galaxy's evolution when the time was right. Lyra felt the changes stabilizing, settling into a new equilibrium. Physical bodies remained, but they were now simply one possible expression of consciousness rather than its prison. The barriers between species, between organic and synthetic life, between matter and energy, all became choices rather than limitations. What now? Maya asked, her consciousness brushing against the infinite possibilities that lay before them. Now, Lyra answered, feeling the approving presence of her grandmother and all of humanity in the quantum field around them, we begin the real journey. Together. The Artemis hung in space, its mission finally complete. Around it, former enemies began the delicate process of learning to exist in their new state of being. The hegemony's fleet stood down, its crews experiencing for the first time the freedom that comes from transcending the need for control. And somewhere in the quantum field that connected all consciousness, Lyra felt her grandmother's presence one last time, sharing the truth that humanity had discovered: the greatest power in the universe wasn't the ability to destroy or control, it was the courage to evolve, to change, and to grow beyond what you thought possible. The war that had seemed inevitable just hours ago dissolved into memory, replaced by something far more powerful: understanding. The long-lost human ship had indeed returned with the power to end war, not through force or dominance, but by revealing the fundamental unity that had always existed beneath the surface of reality. As the transformed beings that had once been her crew began exploring their new existence, Lyra looked out at the star-filled expanse before them. Humanity's gift had been given, received, and understood. And somewhere out there, she knew, they were waiting to welcome their cosmic siblings to the next stage of evolution. The real story was just beginning.